What is up, guys, and welcome to episode number 1 of our new series. It's the Road to Glory career mode. It's back, guys. Last year we did one of these for FIFA 17. It was great. We had a blast doing it. We took Hartlepool from League 2 all the way to the Premier League, winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League, and bringing through some incredible talent on the way with Riera Canadell, Ollie Hill, and a few other guys. So, we're going to embark on another Road to Glory career mode this year, and the reason I've chosen Crew Alexandra and not giving you guys like a vote or anything, I was looking at the best kits, and also I wanted a half-star team, the lowest that it can be in FIFA. Of course, it makes it a little bit more tough for us here. So, Crew Alexandra, a half-star team, and I think also Accrington Stanley were, and I chose Crew as the team that we'll be going with. But a Road to Glory is not complete without international glory as well. So we are going to be having a little bit of a rule set regarding England. So here is the rule set for this year, or this kind of season's Road to Glory anyway, guys. So, kickstarting it off with England, we must win a World Cup where 14 of the 23 called up players play for Crew Alexandra. We also must win a European Championship where 14 again of the 23 players that we call up to the international squad must play for Crew Alexandra again. We then have to have 10 of the 23 players that play within those competitions be game generated, which aren't current players, i.e. players that come through FIFA rather than them existing in real life. So if you don't understand that, guys, basically, of course, when you play, you have an academy, and a load of different clubs have academies, and they are the players with the game generated faces, basically. So that's the way we're going to work it. And I don't know exactly how it works in regards to how many players you can call up for the competitions, but I think it is 23, so that's why I went with that number. On to Crew, though. And here is what we must do in order to achieve success in the series this year. We must win a Premier League title, an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, and a Champions League before the end of the series. I was going to put Europa League in there, but of course that requires you playing in the Europa League, not the Champions League. And you can't really play in the Europa League unless you win the FA Cup or Carabao Cup. Oh, wait, no, just the FA Cup, I think, actually. And of course, don't finish top 4, and you're not in the Champions League. Also, we must spend £50 million on a player at some point through the series. We must sell a player for £60 million. We must get at least 390 rated players by the end of the series. And we are only allowed a maximum of 5 non-English players at any one time within the squad. So we are allowed to have different nationalities within the team, but we can only have 5 non-English players within the squad at one time. So, of course, we need to pick the players that we want to bring in who are not English very, very wisely. So that's going to be the rule set for this year. It just makes it a little bit harder for me, and also it makes sure we're using homegrown players. And with me adding the international side of things, which I've not done before, I've decided that, of course, the best way we're going to succeed with England is to bring the players through Crew Alexandra and bring them through the Road to Glory system. So that is why I did that, guys. So, as I said earlier, half-star team Crew Alexandra. We are allowed 5 non-English players within the squad at any one time. Currently at Crew, I think there are 6 players. So I went ahead and listed every single player that was not English. So there's 2 there, 3, 4, I think. And I think in total there is 6. So, of course, one of them is going to have to leave the club before we can even think about maybe bringing in somebody else of course, not English nationality. Of course, we have got a fair amount of English players at the club, and with the youth system and the youth scout that we're going to bring in, he's most likely going to be sent to England. So the youth players coming through will be English as well. We have that bonus. The only issue I've got, guys, is that a few of these players who I have to unfortunately list up and let go are actually one of the better players at the club. So maybe I have to keep hold of a couple of them in order to make sure we're still doing okay. But this is where you guys come in important, because I went ahead, and as you can see, I buy myself a youth scout, which I did, and I sent them to a couple, or I think I sent them to England, just one at the moment, and I am kind of maybe thinking about using Scout Future Star. The only issue with that is that we're not guaranteed an English national player coming through, so that might have to be one of the non-English players that we use up on that one. But in terms of what the board want, they weren't really kind of, I guess, harsh on us. We were okay in terms of what they asked us to do. The objectives that we've got, I feel we can achieve them quite easily. So I'm looking forward to it, I guess you can say. Now, moving on, I'm going to require your help massively in this series because, of course, there are going to be a few English players that we're going to have to bring through. But I need to know who we should be buying, who we should be letting go. Because I want you guys to have as much impact on this as well, because we've got to look at this as a kind of building blocks, I guess you can call it, because you've got to look at the better young players available to us and think about the amount of money that we've got, because we only have around about £1 million here with crew, so we can't go out and buy a load of, you know, brilliant young superstars that played in the Under-20 World Cup and the Under-17 World Cup. Of course, England winning those earlier on this year in real life. The likes of Phil Foden, for example, who had an unbelievable World Cup for the Under-17s, he currently is at Man City and he doesn't want to relocate. I'll show you the shortlist of players that I have picked first. You guys can add to this shortlist or whatever. Give me suggestions on this video about who you want me to sign. But of course, this is going to be more difficult than we first expected, you know, kind of thinking it was going to be for Road to Glory. So you can see me going through the preseason tour here. I don't play these. I go ahead and sim them. Really not interested in the performance in this. The money that it gives you, yes, it's a nice bonus, but overall, the time that you spend doing it is probably not really that important in terms of this one. So, yeah, we went ahead and simmed it. We ended up getting knocked out. Again, we're not too bothered about it. We get a little bit extra money, but it doesn't really matter too much to us. And the shortlist that I've got, guys, most of these players we won't be able to sign in Season 1 because they are unwilling to relocate. So there is Phil Foden, 66 overall, worth 1.2 million at the moment. There's a few other guys in there as well that I'm really looking forward to. Luckily, we did get an offer for George Ray to leave the club, and he is one of the non-English players leaving, so that is one of the things that we have to do. We have to make sure we sell at least one of them between now and the end of this transfer window. So then that way, when we squad register or register our squad for the upcoming season, we don't have more than the 5 that we are allowed. So I went ahead and shortlisted all these players. You can see them. They are all in the list here. There's a few guys that I would be interested in bringing in and maybe looking at trying to sign, but there's the likes of Reece Nelson, for example, Phil Foden, Gomez, even of Manchester United. But as I said, a lot of them saying looks like they're unwilling to relocate, and a few of them saying that they've just joined the club and therefore won't move again. So it means that, of course, we can't sign them just yet. But that was just a basic shortlist, just to give me a kind of rundown of the players that I might be looking at bringing in. Of course, I want your guys' input to give me more signings. Just remember to keep them under a certain amount of money, guys, because with £1 million, we don't have that much money to go out and buy the likes of Harry Winks, for example, you know, or Marcus Rashford or anything like that. But they could be long-term prospects, the players that we can bring in later on in the series. But for now, we don't have that much money. So I'm looking at players from maybe the Championship, League One, for example, even if they're playing, I guess, abroad and have like an underrated of like 70 or so. I think the base minimum that I'm looking at is like 63. Is the kind of overall that we can afford right now. So I went ahead and picked up, or looked to pick up, Greg Lee here of Bury. The reason I went for this transfer of 250k was because he could play on the left, but also he could play on the right. And at this given time, our backup left back, who was English, was 49 rated. And our right back, the best one we had at the club, was 52 rated. And again, he's an English right back, but 52 isn't fantastic. So I looked at Greg Lee and I was like, okay, he can play left back, he can play right back. In terms of what I need for a player, he could be just it. So the 260 grand that we agreed with Bury for initial transfer fee was okay. Went ahead and offered him a contract, and I think he goes for about £2,000 a week on the wage. A little bit adding additional fees, but I wasn't too worried about that one. And we snapped him up. So that's the first deal done of this entire series, guys. But of course, I'm making sure I have a little bit more money in the bank, so that way we don't waste them all on players. As I show you there, Pickering was our backup left back. He's of course English, so he fits in with the requirements, but in terms of overall, he isn't fantastic. So that is Greg Lee, signed to the club from Bury. He joins up, he's 62 rated, you can see his stats there. He's got 2-star weak foot, 2-star skill moves. I'm going to be playing him out on right back rather than left back. I'm looking at maybe keeping the left back that we currently have, the Ivory Coast International, because I think that if we can keep him at the club, he can count for now as one of the 5 players that we are allowed, and that way I don't have to worry about bringing in another one, you know? So that's kind of what I'm thinking about for now, until Pickering maybe gets up overalls, and that way we can replace him with Pickering when he is ready to be replaced. So went ahead and looked to sign Ezri Konsa as well from Charlton. He's a centre-back, but can also play in midfield if we need him to do so. The transfer fee that they were asking for was £340,000 originally. I countered it and said, can we give you 285, I think it was. And they came back again and said that that wasn't enough. They wanted 320. So I was looking at that thinking that's too much. But then I actually accepted that deal because we kept us in kind of, I guess, decent terms with the transfer budget. Even if we went with him for 320 grand, I think it was, we still had 800k left in the transfer budget with a wage of around 10,000. So even with this deal happening, we were still okay. You know, we still had a little bit to work with. So the only positions that I feel we need to strengthen right now is another goalkeeper, because of course once our Welsh goalkeeper leaves the club, we will only have one goalkeeper at the club currently. So I think we need one more. And then maybe I would say a winger of some kind. So, as I said, any suggestions that you guys have will be massively appreciated. I, of course, rely on you guys a lot in terms of these series to give me suggestions for signings. And I want this to be as much your guys' as it is mine. So, that is how we are going to look to possibly end this one off. As you can see, as I'm kind of choking there, guys, apologies. Conser, we are negotiating his wage budget, and you can see he accepts a deal of £2,000 a week, very much similar to Greg Lee. So that is how we are going to be ending off today's episode. Apologies, it's a little bit shorter, but of course I want you guys to give me loads of suggestions, and I wanted to have a load of time left between now and the end of the window to act on those suggestions. Leave your suggestions down below in the comments, guys. I'm looking forward to this series as well. It gives us a little bit more kind of difficulty this year around. I'm going to try and make the episodes live com, potentially with some face cam for you guys. So if you are enjoying that, then hit that like button. As always, guys, thank you for all your continued support on the channel. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all again for the next episode of this series very, very soon. Make sure you leave your suggestions down below, and who knows, maybe I will sign the players that you guys give me. Thank you so much for watching episode 1, guys. If you haven't already, click the little bell next to the subscribe button. You always get notified when a video goes live. Other than that, I will see you all again for the next episode of this very, very soon. Catch you all later. Adios!